Yo, 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 yo. What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads, and especially all you gardeners out there? This is Mr. Weedman Big Earl with the Weedman 420 Chronicles, the Grow Hour. What's up, Big Earl? How you doing, my brother?
What's up, Mr. Weedman? I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm good. You know why?
I think I have an idea, but tell me.
I'm getting baked with three brothers from another mother's and going to have some fun tonight for our first roundtable discussion with some of the best breeders that I know, some of the most funnest, dopest fellas I know, and just kick ass in the market. And there's Deb coughing. She's hobbling around back there. Always has Mike's back. I love it. I love it. Hitting that dab rig right there. I love it. I love it. Gentlemen, say hello to the world of all the gardeners out there.
Howdy.
What's up, guys? Another day, another dollar, another weed plant to holler. I hope everybody's doing well. Terp, what is it, Wednesday? Today's Wednesday, I think, in most parts of the
today's
world.
Wednesday.
But yeah, man. Hump day. Hope everybody got over the hump.
It's what happens when you get back from a great beach vacation there, Terp, right. Enjoying life, dabbing on the beach and having fun.
I can usually tell you what flower day it is, but I can almost never tell you what day of the regular week it is.
I love it. Hey, so let's smoke. I am smoking some sour poo grown by our friend Big Earl over here. Love this strain, Big Earl. So I'm going to light this up and then tell us all what you're smoking. And then we have a little story we want to talk about, a little story time before we get started with this episode. So Big Earl, what are you smoking on? It's delicious. I smoked it last night.
Sorry, I'm trying to get this dab.
Oh, my bad, Mike.
No. So it's a garlic cocktail, which is actually a mimosa GMO, I think. This strain was just absolutely nasty. It was run by my good friend. It's Farmer John. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Dr. Dank. I forgot he changed. He's no longer Farmer John. It's Dr. Dank. One of the dankest growers that I met in Colorado, in all of Colorado. Kid produces some of the best flower I've ever had, and he rarely does a hash run, but this was a rosin run that he did. It's unbelievably stupid. It's like vinyl couch meets garlic meets grape leather type of. It's really unique.
Sounds like a beer. Sounds like back when I sold beer back in the day, we used to call like stuff that came over from Europe that was very barnyardy, very horse leather. You had those like those very, very fragrant. Some of them I didn't like. Some of them they were too horse leathery or barnyardish for me. But I get what you're saying on that flavor. It reminds me of the old craft beer days. This cannabis industry is reminding me so much of craft beer when it comes to flavors and profiles. They both mirror each other a lot, especially somebody who worked in it for 8 years. It mirrors a lot, especially flavor profiles and stuff. Mike, what are you smoking on, brother?
This first one is a combination of skunk tangerine and East Coast sour diesel.
Nice. Grown by you?
Yep.
Nice. I love it. I love it.
The end of last year before we did this big seed project that we just finished.
You sent us some pictures. We had to reschedule this because you had a big day going on last week when we were supposed to record this, man. You were showing us pictures of your garden, what work you were doing. How many hours did it take you that day to do what you were doing, brother?
It's typically a 12-hour day, basically, in the garden because the lights come on at 7, or I'm sorry, they come on at 8 and they go off at 7. So in the flower section, then the veg section's behind the flower section. So when the flower section goes off, like I have to be done in the veg section for the day. So I got to scramble to get everything done by 7 o'clock at night. Basically, that's the goal every day for me. Get as much done as I can between 8 and 7 in the garden.
That's a big day. So let me ask you a question. The both of you are friends. You know each other. We were talking before we started recording. You did a collab together.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
It was early on in my breeding career. This is like 5-6 years ago. I had barely made the Bluetopia line, and I took it to F2 level. Bluetopia is my first creation, which is Blue Cookies by Tangerine Power by Golden Strawberries. I helped Terp get a hold of some seeds he was looking for. I was a connection between him and the deep chunk seeds he needed. So I helped him get those, and sometime later after he had worked and continued them on, he sent me back a vial of pollen, and I hit one of my Bluetopia keepers and made Blue Chunk. I also hit my Dosey, I think it was my Dosey Topia I hit, not the Dosey Dos. And I also made Dosey Chunk, which both of those are long sold out by now. But that was one of our early collabs. And the Blue Chunks have actually been taken to the F3 level.
Damn.
If that was on Instagram, I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if we didn't originally meet on Facebook back in the
We probably did, bro.
deep trolling days of the heady trolling days of 2016. You know, like, so here's what happened. For a long time, I was a big proponent of doing collabs with other breeders, putting together pollen. Like, I have a really good storage tech and I have a really good, you know, and so we had really good success with like sending pollen out to other breeders. Usually what we do is kind of split the seeds 50-50, and, you know, it ends up being a great deal for everybody. I did this for a long time, and in the earliest days, it worked really, really well. But then I kind of hit a point where I would send out 10 or 15 vials worth of pollen, and I might get one batch of seeds back. And it got to be a big thing. But like, the thing about all that deep chunk, it's a strain that since the earliest days that I started working with it, I've wanted more people to grow. It's something that I want there to be more of. I want it to be used more in crosses. I think it makes some of the most amazing sativa taming genetics around, because where she really shines is to hit something that's super tall, super lanky, land race sativa that nothing can hybridize, and now you got something you can work with. And it's not just a watered down version. It's something that really makes some amazing hybrids. Some of the best crosses I've ever had were deep chunk crosses. So it's, you know, it was one of those that, like, every time I would do the deep chunk projects, because it's more of a passion project, I would try and put out as much pollen as I could, spread it around, try and do as many crosses as we could, because it just makes such great breeding stock.
You did well for sure.
That strain, was it you did that yourself?
Oh, no. Deep chunk is
that's Tom Hill.
Yeah, deep chunk is one of those that like isn't really around commercially anymore, and that's one of the reasons that I've continued to work with it through the years, because it's originally by a breeder named Tom Hill Seeds, and to my understanding,
he just popped back up.
Yeah, he did. He just recently popped up and did like the podcast or something. But he's the one that did almost all, if not all, of that work, since that was kind of landrace cushes at some point. And it's one of those that I found really early in my both growing and smoking career. Really something that I found to be intensely medicinal in just about all the best ways. But when it breeds, it's very predictable. It breeds very true. And so it's a strain that, like, not only is it really good for kind of taming sativas, but kind of as you get more down a line, like past F3s, you really start to see less of her in the cross. Or if you cross kind of an F1 to a deep chunk and then that to something else, as you start to see less of her, it really starts to shine, because you get all the best of shortened height, shortened flowering time, you know, resin, all the best stuff, but it doesn't really water down your strain. It doesn't get in the way. You know, it's not like one of those kind of old world boring Afghanis where you hit it to something and now it's just kind of bland. It doesn't have the same profile. She's got a really heavy, earthy, like you said, leathery, chocolatey, old world Kush kind of profile.
Nice.
But it also blends really well with stuff in crosses as well.
Sweet. So it's a good plant to work with. Good genetics.
Beautiful genetics. It's why I keep working with it. It's why I probably continue to work with it in some capacity through the rest of my time working with seeds.
Do you have mothers of that plant, or do you just seeds that you're still using?
All of the above.
Nice. Go ahead, StraitA.
I was about to say, I have a newer cross that still has some of that in it. It's called Chunky Cherries, and that's a Blue Chunk F3 cross to Mendocino Maraschino F3.
I need to live next to one of both of you, or go.
I'll send you some of those, Terp.
Not what you think at all. It's so boring. It's I sell it well.
I just want to smoke with you guys. That's all. I mean, I know we get to smoke this, but I want to come and smoke with you.
Here's what's funny.
We all need a sesh.
Most of my real world friends are squares. They're generally not weed people. They're people that can take maybe 2 hits off a joint and just be out of their fucking mind. And like, I don't have a ton of like those deep weed. That's why I love these conversations, because I don't have a lot of this with the people that I actually know in the real world, because most of them are just normal people that I've known for 20 years. And, we knew each other from school, or we grew up together. And it's like, I don't know a ton of like weed lifers that weed is a constant conversation. And even when we get together, they love weed and they love to hit dank weed, but like 2 puffs and they're over the whole thing,
We all got some friends like that.
Yeah.
We smoke them. We smoke them all the way down.
Yeah, you smoke them deep. So I love it. I love that the two of you know each other. You've worked on some collabs together. I love it. So here's how we're going to roll this. We're going to roll a Q&A style thing, and this is going to be kind of fun. And we're going to go one to the other, and you're all going to have some time to answer and some time to rebuttal. It's going to be fun. So I'm going to go first, and then Earl's going to say a couple. We'll go back and forth. So let's get started here. So germination. How do you, Terp, this one's for you to start. Germinate. How do you germinate? Do you soak, paper towel, pop the seeds in containers? How do you do it?
I guess the short answer is it depends on what I'm popping. If I'm popping something that I know has probably been produced in the last year or two, they look healthy, super healthy seeds. They're getting a 48-hour soak in tap water. So they get 24 hours in the tap water. I tap them with my fingers so they sink to the bottom. It's become one of my favorite pastimes in the world, is tapping the seeds. And then they get 24 more hours at the bottom of the cup. By that point, most seeds are going to pop. After 48 hours in water, most of them are going to pop. At that point, I go into rooter plugs. Always rooter plugs, never into just soil. Just because I've always kind of found gradual steps all the way up through the rooting process is kind of clutch. So going into a rooter, into a red cup, into a 1 gallon, into a 5, that helps root development. 48 hours into rooter plugs. Otherwise, if it's older seeds, if it's something that's been in a box for a while, unknown origin, trying to pop a lot of that. Sometimes I'll do maybe a little H2O2, a little bit of hydrogen peroxide, just to kind of get any bacteria out of the way. And then the exact same process, 48 hours in tap water. I've worked with a little of this and a little of that through the years, doing bacterial stuff and doing rooting stuff. And, once they go into rooter plugs, they love kelp at that point, anything with kelp or seaweed, and roots are just going to explode. But really, it depends on the age of the seeds. If you've got older stuff or anything that's kind of smaller or maybe not as healthy, kind of want to approach those just a little bit differently, and trying to get any of that bacterial growth or any, nasty that's been sitting around for 10, 15 years in somebody's sock drawer. Who knows where, who knows where some seeds come from, but you always kind of want to get just any of that bacterial growth if they're older seeds, just because it gives the seeds a little bit more of a chance to kind of get out of their shell and to get some growth.
Sweet. StraitA, you got any rebuttal to that? Anything to add on or take off?
It's basically the same. I just usually always start with the peroxide, the H2O2. Just because it's a good thing to do. It's just an extra oxygen molecule. It helps fucking add a little bit of extra oxygen. It helps break down fucking the seed coat. You know what I mean? Pardon the French.
Can't argue with that. Yeah.
Do you let your fingers do the walking like Terp does, though? Boop, boop, boop.
Oh, I booped them. I booped them all individually.
Yeah, you have to physically say the word boop.
Oh, I like booping mine. I boop mine all the time. Boop, boop.
One thing I will add that if you do have so I do the same thing basically, but like I said, I add peroxide from the gate. I do go directly into a light soil mix sometimes, depending on how many seedlings I'm gonna do. If we're gonna pop fucking 200 seeds, I'm probably gonna go directly into. I'm gonna soak them first, and then I'm gonna fucking get all my soil, all my little 3-inch pots ready, and then I pretty much don't have any issues with it as long as everything's happy and healthy. It's pretty much never a problem. And if you do have some stubborn seeds, sometimes what happens is when you grow and make seeds organically, probiotically, you're going to get thicker holes, thicker shells. So they're not going to open right away. Some of them need a little help. So you can crack them. The people sell seed crackers. You could get a little cracker. You can use your fingers. You can use a pair of whatever tweezers, whatever, something small that you won't destroy the seed. You have to be kind of careful. But like I said, they make little seed crackers. think Woodshed 13 on IG makes these little seed crackers, and they're pretty cool.
Nice.
But yeah, other than that, you can plug and play from there. And older seeds too. Another trick, GA3 gibberellic acid helps add. I don't know this. I'm not gonna sit here and fucking destroy the science of it. All I know is that it works really well on older stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah,
So StraitA, go ahead, Earl. Sorry.
A lot of that older stuff is the shell. Also, like you're saying, not only like the probiotically grown organic, but that thick shell.
But how permeable that is to water. So, and you and I were just talking about on the other podcast about how much of that inevitable longevity of a seed comes down to how much moisture of the original, oils and moisture that seed has internally that it uses to take those first couple steps out of the seed casing. How much of that is intact? So if we're talking about 10 years, Earl and I think, I'm usually comfortable with about 10 years. But past 10 years, you really start to see significant declines in germination, even when well kept. But from there, it goes kind of down.
They're able to do in vitro like tissue culture stuff now. Earl, you've probably learned about that a little bit recently with older stock.
That's what originally started us talking about it.
I have some bog seeds, some original bog seeds that my buddy sent to me because we're gonna do some preservation work on them. Just F2ing whatever we got. You know what I mean? If it's a 10-pack, I got one 10-pack bucket. Everything goes. Everything on everything. Let's preserve them.
I want to talk to somebody that actually does that for a living, that seed, situation that can give us a better idea of kind of a time frame of a ceiling for kind of how long your average seed is going to remain viable. Like I've generally seen about 10 years, and then you start to have a precipitous decline. That doesn't mean they're all going to die, but you have less and less at that point that start to pop. Like with what we have now with modern, technology and with all of the stuff, embryo stuff, how far can we extend that past what it would normally be?
I think we would definitely. What farmers do now with like vegetables and stuff is they just keep making new seeds with the stock every year. They keep or every so often, and that's what we need to do. Pop your seeds. Do preservation runs. Do what you got to do, but don't just let them sit there and collect dust forever because they're just going to get worse and worse and worse. They don't get better over time.
Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that too, Mike.
Let's start popping seeds. Let's start preserving. Let's start getting stuff into the hands of people that can help us preserve and not just
especially if you're one of those people. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Especially if you're one of those people that hoards from the old school and you've got this stash of stuff that you've now realized you couldn't pop with the 100-acre woods. You couldn't possibly in 100 fields pop it all. Start getting those into the hands of people that actually pop seeds. Let's get that old stuff that's just sitting around in seed form that we always talk about.
Where's it at?
Somebody's got it out there in their stash. Like, get that stuff out. There's a certain point where you're not just collecting, you're hoarding. Because you're killing so much of that by not running it eventually that, get it into the hands of people that actually pop seeds,
The hardest part for me, because I fall under that category of hoarding seeds.
Me
I
too.
I do it too.
And the hardest part is like 90% of the people that I'll send some rare ass, expensive ass, can't find seeds to people. 90% of them I don't see shit.
You
back.
have.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm cool with people who actually pop them and run them, but a lot of the times
I didn't do that. I didn't do that to you, did I, Earl?
No. I don't think neither one of you guys did that to me.
Okay, I was just making sure because dude, there's one of those where when you get so many seeds from people, sometimes people have an expectation that something's gonna get run in the grow immediately, and I was just making sure I didn't.
No, neither one of you.
I'm super sentimental too, so I hold on to all the packs that like from all the homies. Like I sold off all the expensive stuff, you know what I mean? Just like for paying bills, to take care of farm stuff, whatever it may be, to survive these days. But I still I have all the homie stuff still, so
I do too.
It feels
and
pretty
that's
good.
The thing. Like if you ever sent me something and you lost it, and you sent it to me, unless it's something you've seen me work with, hit me up. I probably still got it somewhere because I have bins of that sort of stuff. Because people like we were talking about earlier, people will breed with my stuff and then they send them to me And like, I'll get on a run and I'll be looking for something specific, and I'll find this bin that's just envelopes of where people sent me stuff that they worked with my stuff, or they just wanted to trade, or like, I'm bad about, I'm gonna say this again and it's gonna bite me in the ass, but I'm bad about telling people no when it comes to trades, especially if it's somebody who makes seeds. Because I just remember being that dude who
Your
nobody
DM's about
gave
to
a
blow up on Friday. On Friday,
Right.
you're gonna get about 15,000 fucking DMs. Oh, you want to trade? You want to trade?
Bro, I get it. I get it already all the time, and especially if it's somebody that makes seeds. I feel bad because I remember being that kid who had made seeds and nobody cared, and like, you just wanted somebody to be like, "Yeah, I'll take some." But then the reality is, when you've had 40, 50, 60,000 Instagram followers, that happens a lot, and people sent me through the years just so much stuff that's piled up that there's no way I could ever touch it all. Like, no
Well,
way.
he thanks you for
But
sending
I
it.
thank
so
you. I
don't
thank you
get
guys
mad.
so much, and for everybody that does it, I still go through the process and I go through the motions, and like, yeah, I'll trade you some stuff. You know, I don't really want to do 15 packs, but you know, like, we could trade a couple packs, and I try to go through the motions for everybody, and it's just because I love to trade seeds, and you never know when something you got in a trade is going to be huge down the road, or
Right.
it's just going to end up being a similar thing to something else that's going on that's really awesome, or who knows. And it's like, at the end of the day, if you ever send it to me, I guarantee you, if you need it back, hit me up.
That first question took 20 minutes.
20
just
minutes.
So
I'm sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So anyway, let's move on to it is. Let's move on to the next one. StraitA, this one's for you to start. What's the biggest difference in selecting a pheno for breeding versus selecting a pheno for growing? StraitA, you first.
They kind of go hand in hand in a way. To be honest, if you want to breed with something, well, there's it just depends on what you're breeding for and what you're looking to do with that breeding project. That's the bottom line. So, uh, if I'm doing it for breeding, let's say it grows like shit, but it smells like just some amazing, unique fucking fruit that nobody's ever smelled, and it's like, but it's just horrible structure, piece of shit plant, right? So you try to breed that with a good solid structure, male that has fucking vigor, size, dense floral clustering, maybe a little bit of trikes if it has it. I don't really care if male has trikes or not. Female will do her job. There, just because a male doesn't have trikes doesn't mean that his offspring won't. It's kind of just an added bonus for maybe hashability potentially. That's a side topic, but breeding and growing. So if you want to do a production run, you want to choose a strain that you know is going to do well for what you're doing. If you're running a dep or a greenhouse environment and you have a limited plant count, then you're going to want to run something that's known for getting big and throwing down and hitting the numbers that you want to hit. Maybe you're only allowed 48 plants because it's a medical garden and you have to stay within parameters, stay within like all the legalities. You have to know what you're going to get into so that way you can actually properly plan for it. So that's more growing for production. Now, for breeding purposes, like I said, that's just mixing and matching where you want your terps and you want your highs and everything to kind of collide with something that's going to keep its or add structure and add potency and flavor, you know? So if that answers the question well.
It does. Terp, any rebuttal?
Yeah, when you're doing selections for your own garden, it only has to impress you. But when you're doing selections for breeding, it has to impress every damn body. Everybody. It has to, the things that people hit me up and say they're looking for in a strain are so ridiculously varied that, I mean, it's tough to ever make a strain that everybody's going to have, some interest in. And it's all, at a certain point, it's down to marketing, telling people what they want. When you see hype strains in the media, 99% of the time, it's not because everybody smoked it and thought it was amazing. It's because somebody had good marketing money. Yep. And so with so much of when I select for breeding, I select for both what impresses me, but also I kind of have a feeling that if it impresses me 99% of the time, it's going to impress other people. And so for me personally, I'm looking for something that makes me go just wow. Because if I say that, never shown those strains to other people and they just been like, man, that's just garbage. That's just, I've never, so it's usually, I'm looking for something that impresses me. But at the end of the day, breeding's tough because you're trying to impress everybody in every grow condition with every end result. Everybody's got different needs for why they're growing, why they're harvesting, why they're selecting seeds. So yeah, man, it's really tough.
Gotcha. Earl, you're taking over, brother.
Yeah. When you pollinate, what are you looking for in that pollinated plant to know that it's done? That you say, hey, now I'm cutting down this plant. Terp.
By week three, 3.5, most males are starting to throw dust. Like you're starting to see dead pistils around him. You're starting to see. So like past 3 days after that, everything in that tent has been dusted, right? And you're going to see continued flower growth, but it's going to be very slow and very stalled. So leaving him in there for huge amounts of time past that, I don't know about you guys. This is a good one for StraitA. I found out in my 30s, I was deathly allergic to cannabis pollen and cannabis pollen only. I never had an allergy to pollen in my life, never had a seasonal allergy problem, can go out in the middle of the spring and do anything outdoors, no problem. No problem. The minute I inhale one single grain of pollen, I'm done. So for me, I kind of, as soon as I can get it out and it's not now contaminating everything with pollen, just everything I touch and everything that's around me and just everything, because it gets everywhere. It's literally the plant sperm of the world. It gets everywhere. And, for me, I try to get those gone as quickly as I can. So I usually don't see the end of flower for most males unless I'm doing, a pollen collection project where I'm specifically just keeping him around as long as I can and just to collect as much dust as I can every single day. But I haven't done those in a while because once again, literally I die for 3 days if I inhale pollen. So like my goal lately has just been to get everything dusted and then get him in a bag.
Yeah. What about with the lady to check the seeds? Do you check like the top or the middle? Or is there any specific way you're doing that?
I'm popping a couple of different spots. By the time we get into, so usually it's the same with her. Like she's gonna usually want to get hit around week 4, and then you're usually gonna have 4 to 5 weeks solid before she's gonna be like ripe and ready to go. The beautiful thing about seed production is they'll usually die on the plant, and that's not as bad of a thing as if you're growing for flower, where you don't really want dead plants because it just kind of kills all the terps and it just tastes like hay and it just it's not quite the same. But yeah, it really kind of comes down to like end goals. I usually pop a couple at each different point, and check and just make sure. But usually you can tell, like when she's ready, she'll either die, like just completely kind of all the calyxes will just turn completely yellow and die, or you get a feel for it. You have those stragglers where it's a 10-week plant and you're hoping everything's done in 8.5 and you still aren't quite there. And, but 99% of the time you just pop a couple off from various parts of the plant. At that point, I just keep them separate, label them just so I know what they were, and they just go in with all the rest of the seeds when I'm done.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? What do you look for the male and female when to know they're ready, done?
To know when the seeds are ready to be harvested? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Or the male's ready to be taken out.
So there's a window. The window you're looking for, it's pretty much like Terp said. It's right around the 3-4 week mark. You want to have optimum pistil stigma production from the ladies. You want to have the most possible because each one of those is going to catch pollen, and that pollen's going to go down and make a seed. Right? That's the goal. If you didn't know, that's what happens. So basically, you want maximum pistil production, and you want to time your male right so that he's doing his fucking just dusting. So you take and shake him around the room, or you can cut a couple branches off, and just go shit. I just did a massive seed run with a Josh Dog male. We pollinated 80 plus females, elites, some of our own run from seed, some of my stuff. It's an epic OG run. Hit Just one for the ages.
Looks dope.
We did like five projects in one.
You could hit whole greenhouses with one male though.
Oh
If
yeah,
there's
yeah.
enough pollen on one male, you could pollinate a whole field of weed, you know, and then
I had two massive males in this room. Everything got fully dusted. So, but the thing with this male was is he kind of like I let him stay in there from, well, he was in there the whole time, but I took him out at about day 35, day 38 range in that window, because at that time everything that was in there had already been fully pollinated. You can tell when what will happen is the pistils will actually start dying. They'll start turning brown and orange or whatever, red, whatever color their pistil is going to be on that plant. It'll die and it'll be brown or red. Like I just said, no more white hairs.
Yeah.
And then that means it was successful. The pollen took, and then in a few days to a few weeks, you'll start seeing the formation of the seeds on the plant, and it's a beautiful thing. And it takes from onset of pollination to the final day you take that male out of the room. You want to go at least, in my opinion, I like to go, because why not go longer? You can't really overcook a bean, and from my perspective, you can't over ripen them. When they're done, they're done. Only thing you may have problem is that the bract will actually die, and the seed can potentially fall out, and it'll go into your medium, and then that you'll end up with seedlings before you might not want seedlings. So
I've seen
just
them
be
pop on the
mindful, watch
plant.
your plants. Oh yeah, me too. It's just it's too humid of a room typically when that happens.
Well,
But
overwater, yeah,
you know,
flush and hard, like
or
at the
overwater.
end. Yeah,
Yeah,
overwater
man.
and really hard at the end, and I've seen them pop like that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's impressive. They're vigorous.
yeah. The real trick at that point is getting your females in just a little bit before your males are ready to throw. So, like, I usually give the girls
Yeah, so
10
they're
days. Yeah, and then 10 days they
7 to 10
they
days
go in
range
the
is what
same.
we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So real quick, for all you youngins out there, Terp and StraitA are going to be teaching reproduction on Discord next Saturday night. Just
Yeah, there's some
stay tuned.
videos on the internet. I can give you some search topics.
At 4:20 p.m. They're going to show you how it's done. Reproduction. I'll sing for you before we start.
I'm about to be shucking a whole shit ton of seeds, so
Those hand
stay
cramps are
tuned.
coming, brother.
We get into some
Fuck.
uncomfortable gender discussions.
So, speaking of gender discussions, so besides a plant herming, what's something that's going to have you dropping something from breeding? Like, you know, whether it be like tons of leaves or small flowers or what it might be. Mike, we'll start with you on this one.
I'd probably go with like a terrible like leaf to calyx ratio, like just something that's just like you said, just a leaf machine. Nobody wants smoked cabbage. No, we've all trimmed up weed that we didn't want to trim up. You know what I mean? And some of it might have been good, but some of it was just
brickweed back in the 90s, motherfuckers. That's what I had to do. 50-pound fucking shacks of fucking brickweed. Deal with that fucking shit.
That's how you win right there,
I'll send you all the seeds you want.
Bro, I bet there's, you know, the funny thing is there's some people that would love to get their hands on some of that 90s brickweed seeds just to find out. There's some amazing fucking land race sativas in there.
I could have gave you 10 million of them.
Yeah.
I know. That's pretty funny though.
But what about you, Terp? Something besides herming in a plant that you're going to be like, nope, not working with this anymore.
No terp, like terps. The short answer, terps.
Yeah.
You know, not being something that's just instantly impressive flavor wise. Anything that's got a super simple profile. Like if I can just describe it as kind of gassy, it's probably not going to stick around with me for long. If I can describe it in one or two, it's a little floral. Like I'm probably not going to keep that one around for long. But if it's something that like every time you hit it, there's something different and you pick up something slightly different, that's the one. And anything that doesn't do that, that doesn't give me that like, wow, what was that? I need more of that. It's just I'm just not gonna bother with that. Those are the two big ones, to be honest. Like you guys said, in this day and age, it has to be something to everybody. So you have to think about it's gonna go in somebody's grow to be flour. It's gonna grow in somebody's grow to be extract. You know, it's gonna be somebody's grow who just is growing it strictly for the flavor or for the medicinal effects. So it's like you're really trying to get a little bit of something for everybody. But at the end of the day, I'm picking terps, herms. Those are the two things. Got to go.
In how are you checking for your flavor and your terpenes in veg? You doing stem rubs, or how do you like to do that?
I mean, I
Terp.
will. That's like the first time I meet a lady, you know, the first time we've been introduced, and I just want to know what she's bringing to the party. Then yeah, some stem rubs, you know. But like to be honest, the only real way to tell what she's got, what she's gonna bring, and what she's gonna do is to run her out, breed her out, and then run those seeds. And then you're really going to see some strains are more passive in what they'll pass on. So they're better for like, it's got great purple punch. Great example. You know, it's a great strain. Nobody's going to really yell about the terps. Great trichomes. So it also doesn't have a super overwhelming, overpowering profile. So you take something, a daddy that's just super terpy, and hit it, and now you got a hash plant with a new flavor, with something different, you know. And it's like, I breed primarily for terps, hash, extracts, stuff like that. I kind of backwards compatible it. If I do that first, then they're usually going to smoke great. You know, if they're great extract strains, if they're great hash strains, if they're great washers. I've never had one of those that you just couldn't roll up in a joint and love to death. So, you know.
Yeah. What about you, Mike? How do you like getting your first smells in?
You know, everybody does a stem rub trick, whether they like to admit it or not.
We're all rubbing legs. We're all rubbing legs. Let's be honest. We're all rubbing legs.
You got to, but yeah, like you said, the true way you're never really gonna know until you actually get them in flower, and then you're not gonna know until you actually get them in after flower. You dry them, cure them, smoke them, see what you got, then you run them again, like you said. Then you can compare and contrast against the moms and see what the dad brought to the table. Then you kind of can go from there, you know, pick a direction.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
uh, we also focus on flavor and potency over everything because structure is not hard to make structure.
Sure.
So we want to get high. We are actual medical patients in the state of Oregon. We do this shit.
I like getting high.
I have to get high.
Do you do anything in flower to get a smell out of it so you're not destroying the bud? I know that's something we talked about before, how you don't like to mess up the flower.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate when people go in there and fucking just fucking grab a fucking big ass nug. I'm like, oh Jesus, you just finger fuck the shit out of it. So first of all, grab the stem, bring the bud closer to yourself, or grab a fan leaf if there's still one on there by the tip. Bring it closer to you. Get real close to the bud and grab one of the sugar leaves and give it a nice light rub, and then put those right in your nostril and whiff away. You'll get full fragrance.
Fancy. That's fancy.
Oh yeah,
I like that.
I love just doing it, and then you really get that. Like when you walk away, you're just like, oh
yeah, it's there. And then when you do that as well,
you got it. And then you just rub it on your nose, and you just walk around the house all day going, yeah.
This is dual purpose though. You also get to feel the trikes. You get to feel if they're sticky, tacky, if they're greasy, sandy. You can kind of pick a direction on which, and to know ahead of time, is this going to be something that's going to wash well for hash production? Is this, because I didn't even know that I was breeding for hash until I realized some of my strains were fucking kicking out 4, 5, 6% returns. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. So now I'm like slightly focusing on some of that as well. Because I was, like I said, terps in effect. That's bottom line. Flavors. Trying to be unique and bring the heat. That's what we do.
I love it.
You should be pulling leaves in your garden the whole time. Now.
Yeah, dude. You got to, people who don't.
To what degree and when is kind of what, is different for every person. But like, to be honest, that's where I get so much of my smells is just like, as I'm working with plants naturally in my garden, just doing the sort of maintenance that you do of like removing big fans with no resin and just kind of little things as you go. To be honest, man, like I get a lot of it. The one thing I do want to say is don't ever touch anybody else's buds. So like if you go to a grow, you're in somebody else's etiquette. Grow, and you maybe somebody new or somebody is the first time somebody's showing you their grow or their weed, do not put your hands on anything. Don't touch nothing. Don't grab nothing until that person tells you what their comfortability level is, because that's different for every grower.
I love when I trim my plant, give it a trim, and you get the leaves. There's two ways I know that plant's going to be good. First and foremost, I go to Mrs. Weedman. I go, you ever smell one of these?
I
And
do
throw a
that.
leaf right in her
Fingers.
nose.
We all give the old lady the fingers. We all do. We
all
all,
the
like,
time.
wait till
All
you
the
smell
time.
this.
So throw that right in her
That's
nose.
the only
and then
reason she'll still smell my fingers, though, to be fair, is because
Every
I've
time.
done that trick so many times and it's worked out for her. So, like, you have to
Yeah,
be
it's
real
good
careful
smells.
with them.
Mrs. Weedman thinks I'm the only person in the world. I said, you're wrong. I'm not the only one. I'm not the first. I'm not the last. I'm right in the middle. I said, and this is going to prove it. This will be great because when she hears the episode, she's going to laugh. So, but the other thing is I either make a tea with my leaves or I juice them and I put them in my smoothie and I juice them. And that's how I know this flower is going to be good, especially when I make a tea. So I take a bunch of tea, I throw it in a pot, throw all my excess leaves in there. I don't take any of the sugar leaves off, just all my fan leaves and all my little leaves, throw them in there, boil it for like 3 minutes, 4 minutes, let it steep, put it in the fridge, iced tea. And I tell you what, boys, every plant I've done this with, the mellowness in my body all day takes all the pain away, man. The tea works. Nice. So that's how I know that strain. This is my personal thing. I don't know what anybody else does, but that's how I know that plant's going to be a good plant. Just me.
When I first moved to Denver, there was a dispensary before they changed the laws that you could buy cups of juiced cannabis. And I assumed it was like Lowers, Larf, just kind of an amalgam. But dude, we'd get 6 or 8 of them at a time, just keep them frozen. You'd have to use them within 24 hours. But you do two of those or 3 of those a day, and man, it's great for you. Yeah,
it's better than the wheatgrass. It's better than the wheatgrass. If you can juice your own leaves,
way better.
It's a bazillion times better. And I used to be a wheatgrass drinker. It's a bazillion times better than fucking wheatgrass. You can even take your cannabis leaves and freeze them like I do with my spinach and use them for your smoothie too. Just cut the stems off. Just the stems are rotten. They're not rotten. Save them for something else. Just don't put the stems in your smoothie and shit. So, but you could freeze them. And I had a bag fucking full of fucking leaves and just threw them in my smoothie. Man, just blended them right up. Or I like I said, I juiced them. Fucking amazing. So we gotta move on. We could talk all night. So, Mike, I think this is your turn. Mike, it's your turn. A favorite bit of advice to navigate today's market: seeds and flower.
Oh man, I'm terrible at this one. I suck at
That's
marketing. Right. Well, just because dude, honestly, I work my ass off. I work fucking 2 different farms. I run a lot of plants. I'm busy all day, all the time. Like, I had to cut work short to do this. No offense. I love you guys. You're pretty much the only podcast I do. I got to do Terps one of these days. I know we had talked about it.
You're gonna blow up Instagram that fucking night.
Man, I lost my main account again. So, but yeah, hey, I think we were talking about it on my main account at one point, but then I lost that account, and now I'm on my 2.1 account.
Same.
So
same.
You're on 2.1. I'm on 2.0. So I got to get to the 1. That'll happen.
You don't want to get to the 1.
I've lost 60,000 followers total.
Oh my god!
So to navigate today's market, I would say just to try to do your homework. Talk to people that seem to actually know what the hell they're talking about, and that actually serve the plant in the community and not their wallets. Because there's a lot of people out there that don't really care about the community. They don't really care about the plant. They care about how they can eat off the market, and that's okay. That's it's a business. It is what it is. There's people that don't even smoke, and they're in the cannabis industry community. Whatever you want to call it.
They like this stuff instead.
They do the nose candy. You know what I mean?
Nothing wrong with it. Just it's different.
Yeah, it's just not my cup of tea. But basically, there's people that are doing actual work and they care about the plant and they care about the community, and there's people that don't. And I think it's kind of evident. You can kind of see it. People, the way they vibe and the way they do their thing, and to each their own. Always do what you do, but support the real ones that are putting in work and that actually give a shit. That's my advice.
There you go. I like that. I like that a lot. Terp,
support us, everybody here.
Ask me the question. Roll the question back again, Weedman.
I got you. A favorite bit of advice to navigate today's market: seeds and flour.
A favorable bit of advice. Yeah, I think the one thing that he just said that speaks loudest to both, no matter what you're doing, is know your source. Know whoever you're buying from, whether it's seeds or whether it's flour. If the answer is I don't know, then find something else. The number one thing in seeds and in pretty much everything weed related should be lineage. It should be, what is the pedigree? What are the parents? What's bringing what to the table? So if seeds are your thing, know your source, know your breeder, and if you can't find that information, find somebody you can, because not all of these breeders are just a nameless, faceless. Nobody knows who they are, and nobody sees them, and nobody ever runs into them, and they're just go to this seed bank and get my stuff. There are a lot of breeders right now that are doing it. Listen, man, if we weren't making money, we'd still be doing it, and that's why we're still here.
Shit, I ain't really make money.
It's very clutch. It's very clutch to know when you're talking about flour, who grew your weed, like period. Whether that's you or whether that's a friend of a friend of a friend. Where did it come from? Knowing your source, and that's the one thing for a lot of people. So many people are still buying whatever comes by them because not everybody has legal weed and the benefits of being able to go to a dispensary and see 15 different strains, or even run their own grow and have 15 different strains. Like, that's not for everybody. So knowing the source of whatever you're smoking when it comes to flour is clutch.
I have to say something that StraitA said about community. The other thing too is a lot of people are forgetting the culture. The people that are just in it to make money, the nose candy guys and gals and people, they don't care about the culture. And I talked about this a couple episodes ago on the Chronicles. They don't care about the culture, the past, where it truly came from. I'm not even talking about 10, 20. I'm talking about like where the history of where this plant came from. The whole culture of it all is huge. And I've only learned about it with on and off for the past 20 plus years. But I mean, really the last 5 since I've been studying it more and more and really looking at the history, no one really truly knows the culture. Yeah. All of it. And that's another thing too. We're going to lose that unless people keep on talking to the community, building new community, but building new culture, but keeping the old culture. Don't forget the old, where the old OG growers came from, where some of these strains came from, where cannabis came from in general, but strains, seeds, some of these OG guys that never got any credit. People will never even know their name.
Yep.
You fellas know their names. They have to keep that history going. I don't know the history. I've been learning it from all of you and reading, but the history of some of these breeders and some of these strains, where they came from, it's up to you, the three of you, to keep that going and keep that history going. Post it on your Instagram so people can read like stories of this shit. Like it's to me, it's detrimental to the industry. So to forget where you came from, where you got your experience from, where you got your first look at, that's huge, man. And you're gonna be OGs in 10 years. Remember that. I mean, some of you've been doing it for a while, but in realistic fashion, in 10 years you'll be fucking OGs in the industry, because where we're going now with home grow, you're now all the hard work you've been doing for the last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, Terp, is eventually now going to come to where you've been waiting for this to happen.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. The one thing that I want to speak on that kind of goes to the culture that you're talking about, very much so, is how much of weed culture has now been flushed down the toilet by platforms like Instagram. How much of weed culture, pictures of grows, pictures of strains, people's content, how much of that stuff has just been thrown to the meat grinder of Instagram. The amount is sad and sickening. And, that's why having these podcasts that are off platform, that are a little bit different, that are in different areas, and speaking to just how much has been wasted by Meta and that company of just weed culture, weed pictures, growers, breeders, so much of it that's just been essentially thrown into the meat grinder.
Yeah,
we've both lost many accounts, and I put so much time and effort and energy into my original account, my M StraitA420. That was my original account. I had almost 10,000 followers like 3-4 years ago, and
I've
then
lost
lost
60,000.
Dude, I know. I've only lost like 25,000, bro. It's not as much. Trust me. You got a
It's
bigger following
crazy.
for sure, but it's devastating.
I just lost mine that I worked my
You
ass
know.
off for, dude. And that content I had on there, I got a little bit of it saved, not like probably half of it.
Yeah,
Dude,
but
that
it's not what it
content
was.
was no, that content was golden, man. That was like some of the OG stuff that I did when I
Yeah.
first started this back in 18.
I
Man,
hope
some
you're
pictures
able
from
to get it back somehow, dude. Have you talked to anybody to try to recover your account?
Instagram has not answered my emails that I've sent, and I sent them probably 20.
Wait, are you just
Not
trying to hard email, or are you actually filling out the "Give me my account back" form?
all of it, nothing. And I think because so many people went in and restricted it and blocked it and said it was hacked, I think they fucking.
You know, but that's so funny because all your content is literally just talking head. It's all just literally talking head videos, you know, with smoking. Like you don't do any like weed. I don't really see a ton of pictures and flower and plants on your page or none of
I
your.
do every Friday. Show your grow Friday.
Oh, that is right. That is right. You do the one thing.
Show your grow. I want everybody to show their grow. Send me a picture.
Was that what got you in trouble? Do you know?
No, I got hacked.
Yeah, but they should still be able to help you get your account back.
I tried, man. I got fucking hacked, dude. Fucking just kill. Oh my god, tell me about it. All right, let's move on. I'm gonna cry over it because all the DMs, everything.
Damn you, Instagram.
Fucking just. Anyway, Big Earl. I like this one. This is a good question.
I think I've done this one with you before. But I think, and the only reason I say that is because I don't know that I'm going to give the same answer. Most of these are kind of like when you ask me the question, I'm giving you the answer that's on the top of my head.
This was a question on one of our shows, but we were going real long and we saved it for later. So we read over it when we went over it, but I don't think you actually answered it on the show.
To be honest, I think if it were something that were that rare to me, I would be fine either way. But a female is generally what you. I mean, like I think the answer should generally be is because then you get to see what you're working with. Whereas if you're working with a single male, you know absolutely nothing until you've crossed them out. So you've kind of given away like all of the cheat codes of like figuring early on, you know, narrowing some things out. But like. Yeah, I don't know. I think as a breeder, I would be happy with either. But as a grower, on the grower end, obviously, I think obviously most growers would say a female because 90% of the people in the world never seen a male plant, wouldn't know what to do with a male plant, surely don't know how to work with a male plant, you know, and like. But as a breeder, I'm fine with either. I'd be fine with either. If it were something super rare, I just popped up and I didn't know I had it, and it's 20 years old, and I got one seed out of 200, and I don't care. Dealer's choice.
What about you, Mike?
Yeah, I'd be cool with either one, but I'd be rooting for a lady for sure. Just because I know that if I find a cool lady, I can hit her with another male and do a back cross and keep her back in seed form. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can make a male. I can make a male her with a back cross. You understand? Like, and then we can. Boom.
You could also self it if you really wanted to.
Could you take some cuts too and clone it? Just keep on cloning it too. You take some cuts, right?
But if you want to be able to like breed with it, you can, like he said, you can self it. You could use some feminized spray, and you could self it. What you do, like, so a good example, you take clones, you make a mom of this plant. You take a bunch of clones, you get a room, you got 8 to 10 of these plants in there. Maybe one or two you're reversing, the rest are all going to get pollinated. A week before you go to flip, you spray these plants that are going to be your donors, your pollen donors. They're going to get the hormone change. They're going to get gendered. Okay? No offense, people. I meant that in a good way. Basically, those are going to turn from ladies to dudes, but the pollen they produce are XX because it's a girl. They don't have Y chromosome. So the offspring are going to be selfed S1s. But the thing about S1s, people don't realize it's not genetic, like it's not like every S1 you run is going to be just like the mom. It's like a misconception people have. S1s are like the F2s of the feminized world. So you're kind of opening up the gene pool at the S1 level. You'll be able to find the mom again, but you're just keeping that gene pool intact, but in fem version. So, and I've never even made femmes myself.
What I was simply saying there was with the female, you can make more seeds technically. If that were your goal, but with just a male, it's not as easy. I'm not a big fem guy either, so that's not really generally how
Me
I
too.
think. But like, there is kind of that one caveat of like with a girl, you could make more, more self seed, fem seeds, and find more cuts if that were your goal. Not breeding, but just cuts. You could find other somewhat similar cuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Nice.
I like that. It's a good question though.
Yeah. Well, so like on the antagonist side of that, a lot of people would probably think male to get seeds the fastest, but when you actually get into it, you say, well, I can see what it expresses the fastest, at least in one of its phenotypes.
Yeah.
It will, advance that project quicker. So yeah, totally get it. Let's talk. We've talked about it a little bit, but we haven't just real quick. What medium do you want to run right now, and why do you run that, Mike?
Organic soil all day with dry amendments and teas.
There you go. Terp.
Because we care about terps and potency.
Right now,
and the earth.
For seeds, generally speaking, like a synthetic setup, both synthetic and organic. For flower, usually organics. It depends on what I'm growing for. If I'm growing flower, yeah, I mean organics is nice, takes a little longer if you're willing to put in the time, but yeah, it all depends on what you're growing for.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I think this is Terp. What's something you had to learn the hard way in the garden?
Not to hold on to plants, not to have like too much of an attachment to any one plant, to be willing to have a discerning eye when I'm making selections as far as like, listen, this plant is just not it. And finally having that conversation with yourself, which I think a little bit of that's maturity. You've seen enough plants. Early on, we all have that thing that they're all these fragile, special beings, and they are very much so. But like in a sense, as a grower, as a great grower, as a breeder, something that you have to be willing to do is kill a plant that's not there. There's a problem. If she doesn't keep up, if it's not, doesn't keep up with the regimen, whatever you're feeding, whatever stress, whatever it is, if you see something, there's always something better out there. So don't get too attached to any one plant. So many people have this cut, and then when it dies, it's like a broken heart and a broken relationship, and they're sad. And it's like, go pop another seed. There's other stuff out there. There's probably something that's similar but better. And until you really get in there and start digging, like just don't be willing to throw a plant out because it's not keeping up. It's not looking great for whatever reason. Always run 15% to 20% more of what you need, whether it's seeds, whether it's clones. And that way you can always throw 8 in the trash that just don't look great. And they just didn't give you the look, or they just looked at you funny and you said, that's it, you're done today. Like, I'm not giving you any more news. We're done. Like, this relationship's over. And finding that line was one of those things that like I drug plants on in my garden that in the end, I just had some small personal attachment to, or I put up with somebody, with a plant's finicky nature way past where I should have for what amounted to just, I kind of like the flavor a little bit. And then down the road, I came to realize there's better stuff out there that's similar, that doesn't have that problem, or you can work towards that sort of stuff. But yeah, man, kill those plants. If they're not keeping up, kill those plants, man. Get rid of them.
Kill them. Oh, man. Right when I was going to ask StraitA, what was his thoughts on it? Earl, what is your thought on it then? Oh, what's your thought real quick?
So something I had to learn the hard way, and I think a ton of people have to learn the hard way, is how to water right. If you're running, like, every medium's a little different, every room's a little different, like, learn don't listen, like, read and learn, but like mostly read your garden and focus on learning your garden, and that's going to start with watering your shit right.
StraitA?
I agree with both of those. In addition, I'll just add in the IPM regimen. Learn to have a solid routine when it comes to your IPM regimen, because it will bite you in the ass, especially when tending hundreds and hundreds of different strains. When your mother library is super deep and you have to go to 3 different locations because that's where all your moms are to take care of them all, make sure that you have a clean area and you can maybe make sure that you're clean and you don't carry shit from place to place. That kind of thought,
Tell
But have
everybody
a
tell everybody what IPM stands for.
integrated pest management.
That's it.
That
Then we
means
have you on, we had you on the show for that. You led that show
Yeah.
for us.
Hey,
hey, yo.
it all comes full circle.
There it is. Oh shit. So we're gonna go. You can only choose one. Okay. So no why. You just get to choose one. Okay. And if you want to give a little explanation, you got like 30 seconds. All right. So all right. And I'll go back and forth, and then Earl will take over too. So for cleaning, StraitA, bleach, or alcohol?
Oh man.
H2O2.
I was about to say it's not an option. H2O2 is probably the best one, but I mean bleach, but it depends on what you're spraying it on.
Gotcha. Terp, bleach, or alcohol?
If I have to pick one of the two, bleach in the grow, alcohol for anything that touches resin.
Okay. All right. Terp, shop rag, or bristle brush?
That's a weird one because they both have a place.
Separate functions.
You could say both.
Can I have one caveat? What am I cleaning?
Earl, what's he cleaning?
The whole garden. I was just thinking the whole garden, one or the other.
The whole garden. Then the rag. It's got to be the rag. I got to take the rag.
Rag. Yeah. StraitA.
Yeah, I think, man, for the whole garden, I think
it's hard.
It's hard because the rag does stuff that the brush won't do, but the brush is like easier cleanable. You know what I mean? Like the brush.
It's tough to clean a table with a rag.
I'm gonna start playing. I'm gonna start playing the Jeopardy music for the two of you every time you have to answer.
I can hear it in my head already. You're like.
All right, Earl, this one's you.
Yeah. What about? So we talked about IPM. I don't know who's. Is it? I think it's on Mike. Oil or sulfur? One or the other.
Well, if you can do sulfur and veg. I don't know, dude. It's hard for me to choose because I use them both typically, but not at the same time. Obviously, you don't want to do that. Lately, I've actually been going with oil, so I guess we'll just pick oil right now.
Yeah, take it. Terp, you shake your head. You don't like either?
No, neither. I don't want either one of those. I don't want either one of those. I don't want to have to pick between the two of them.
Like Dr. Zymes, though. You know what I mean? Like nothing crazy.
What about biologicals or pesticides, Terp?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or
I think that was on me. But if I had to pick one of the two, I guess biologicals. Yeah. Proper IPM, proper scrub down, proper clean procedures in your grow, and you won't have to make like 2/3 of the decisions between the last three you just asked, because so much of it's so easy if you handle it at the door, if you handle it before it gets to your grow, then so much of that, like dealing with things when there's a problem versus dealing with things before something's become an issue.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's vital. With the medium, I think it's on you, Mike. Cocoa or peat? We kind of already answered this, I think, but cocoa or peat? You got to choose one or the other. If you got peat, you can't have cocoa in it. If you got cocoa, you can't have peat in it.
Cocoa?
He's a soil guy. He probably runs more peat based stuff. Most organic stuff is almost all peat. Cocoa is usually, not to say
I never buy just straight peat though. I always have my soil mixes. So
but it's usually it's probably more a percentage of peat and then topsoil than it is cocoa. Where usually cocoa is usually for synthetic growers. I bet if you tested your soil, even if you didn't know it, it's probably more peat based or like I said, like a topsoil.
I'm gonna go look at the breakdown. I think you're right.
Yeah. What about if you're running hydro? You got to run one or the other, rock wool or clay pebbles, Terp?
I always ran them together. I always ran them together when I had to run them. I always ran rock. I never really loved just rock wool cubes. I've seen tons of grows in them, and I've seen some fairly successful grows in, just stackable cubes where you go the tiny cubes into the bigger cubes and then finish into like a 3-inch or a 5-inch cube or something. I never really liked that because there's absolutely nothing there. And as soon as there's a small break in feed or anything, like everything's about to die, like quick, hard, and fast. At least with clay, I think you got a little bit of something. It ain't much, but it's
What about you, Mike? If you had to run hydro, you want to run only rock wool or only clay pebbles?
Probably rock wool.
Like, man, okay.
Fuck it, it's just an easy answer.
Okay.
All right, so this is genetics, okay? StraitA, sativa or indica?
One or the other, 100%.
Genetics, just genetics, sativa or indica?
Indica, as you could
Terp?
tell.
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt. Indica, 150% indica. Yeah.
That's why I love the two of you.
Would you guys rather spend the afternoon defoliating a plant or trimming up a plant? Terp?
I think they're both things that most people hate, and they're both things that I've just kind of found a happy zen with. And I've never looked at a pile of weed before or after it was trimmed and didn't think, man, that was awesome. That was really kind of awesome. And so the same with pruning. It's like such an important part of your grow. But I don't know. I like trimming, so I'd probably say trimming. If I had to pick one, like, I don't mind trimming. Trimming's fun. I like it.
Dude, we have to work together because I'll do the defol, you do the trimming. We're good.
And I can do a couple pounds in a day if it's decent weed. So it never really bothered me. I've been doing it since I was 14, and it's just one of those things that once you get into a good groove with it, I can watch a movie and just trim a pound of weed and not think about it.
I got a defol a 60 by 30 depth in the next few days.
It depends on how big the grow is too. Like, there's a certain amount of, like, if I got a defol like huge rooms and I got to do it by myself, man, that gets to be really shitty work for a while. Whereas usually I can sit on the couch and trim, and it's just comfy, and it's like, it's at least somewhat comfortable. Where, like, at best case, you're sitting with a mechanic's chair, like, up underneath plants, and, like,
or crawling underneath beds.
Oh yeah, grow yoga.
So StraitA, Kush or OG?
It's together. I like OG Kush.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, OG all the way.
Right.
Even though I love Kush too.
Terp?
I'm taking Kush.
All day. Yeah, I'm taking Kush all day. Yeah. So
Earl? When you're looking at your plants, you want small, dense flowers, or would you like a little bit of like that sativa fluff in them, Terp?
Depends on what the trikes look like, to be honest with you, because that's what I'm looking at. So, like, if it's got that super, super dense look, all those trikes that are in the middle of that bud are going to be harder to extract. So if it's got a little bit of some fluff to it, you know what I'm saying, where it's not rock hard nugs.
Yeah.
But if we're having to take the extreme, I'm going a little more fluffy than I'm going rock hard.
I like a fluff. I like a fluffy nug.
Yeah. I agree with that. Like, not larfy nug.
No, not larf. Yeah.
Like just a nice. Yeah, I would go with because the dense little rock nug. I don't know. That's not my vibe either.
They're hard to break up. Even if you dry them right, they never break up perfectly. And there's just so much of, like, if you're extracting, all that stuff in the middle is harder to, like, knock off and get into,
When you grind or break up a good fluffy, it just looks so nice broken up on the tray. You could just tell that bud is meant to be smoked.
Oh, it rolls really nice too in a joint.
When you get a tight nug and it's dry, you fucking turns into dust. I hate when weed's not supposed to be meant to be dusty.
No.
Unless I'm putting keef on my fucking bowl or something like that. That's a different story. Or cooking with it. So go ahead, Earl.
Mike, you rather have one famous clone or 50 of the seeds that it came from?
That's a tough one. Just because I like hunting. But with the clone, I can like I mentioned earlier, I could always do a back cross and make my own seeds with it. So probably just take the clone. Yeah, less space. I already have a shit ton of stuff going anyway.
Yeah.
Send it.
What about you, Terp?
Give me the seeds, I'll throw them in the box.
There you go.
I ain't growing none of it.
So, Terp, this one's for you. A nosy neighbor or cop down the road?
Cop down the road. Yeah, I got to say cop down the road. Yeah, man. It's really one of those that, like, keeping your neighbors around you happy is clutch. But like, at least you know where he's at. At least you know where they don't usually like to do shit around their own houses. So it's like, keep your business tucked in tight, and like being around down the street from a cop's not the end of the world. But having a neighbor that's really shitty, like level 11 Karen, yeah, I don't want that. I don't wish that on anybody, bro.
Mind your own fucking business is what I say. StraitA, what do you say?
Say, how nosy is a neighbor? All we have to do is we'll just chin check them or sick the dogs on them. They ain't gonna be nosy that long.
Would you guys rather have to deal with a warm garden or a dry garden? So I don't know who went first last time. Who's going? Mike?
It's StraitA's turn.
Yeah. Oh, it's my turn. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Warm or dry? Sounds like it's the same room.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Warm is usually humid. Dry is usually
I'd probably take, if I'm in my greenhouse, I guess I'd take the warm one because it's what's going to promote better growth. I don't want it to be dry. Although you can always water something that's dry. Yeah. I'll go with the warm.
Warm? Terp, you rather have to deal with warm or dry?
I think dry is an easier problem if it becomes a problem, just because we're talking about in our grow, plants produce so much moisture just naturally that having a little bit of a dry grow is not the end of the world. Whereas if you got a grow that's perpetually hot and you can't deal with that, man, that's a headache.
Well, we have ventilation. I'd still rather run warm than dry. If you're properly ventilated. If you're not properly ventilated, you should definitely keep your plants.
There's definitely some caveats to the question.
Watered. Yeah, I know. I was gonna say keep your plants watered. Make sure you have ventilation, fans, and air movement, and all that good. What you need is VPD.
What does that stand for? What's that stand for?
Vapor pressure deficit.
There you go. Thank you. StraitA, this is for you. Flower. Oh no, no, that's it. We're done. Right? Is that it? Oh, flour that's too dry or flour that's too... I'm really baked. Flour that's too dry or flour that's too moist?
Smoking it.
Oh, for smoking it. Oh,
yep.
Man. God, it's just terrible both ways. I guess I'll go with dry.
Terp?
I don't know, man. It's both terrible. Too wet, it's gonna pop.
That's tough because I'll just throw the wet weed in the somewhere to dry before I but we've all pulled a nug too early and smoked it. We've all smoked a slightly
microwave it, dude.
Just a little bit fell off. A little branch fell off the bottom. The scissors got too close.
You can always pop it in the toaster oven for a little bit and decarb it a little bit. If it's too wet, if you don't want to wait. Fellas. Holy smokes. I thought this show was going to run about 2 hours. We fucking did it. I'm fucking great, man. It was so great to be with you guys again, man. It was fucking awesome.
Stoked. It was a great episode. Appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you. So, Terp, go ahead and give what you're working on right now, coming out soon, and give yourself a plug. Some plugs.
So yeah, man, the one place anybody can find me at any given point seed-wise, www.terpf3ind.com, TerpF3ind.com. We've always got something, and we got something for everybody. Currently, if you're looking for any of the rest of the stuff that I'm doing, Instagram at TerpF3ind, TerpF3ind, and then that's got a link tree to all of my Reddit where I'm posting flower and all the different stuff I'm working on. The next project that I have going on is something that's very near and dear to my heart, something that Earl and I have discussed both in public and in private. It's going to be a new poopine heavy line that I'm going to be pushing along with a pooping fetish support group that we're going to be starting and launching kind of at the same time. It's kind of a synergistic thing. People that are very heavy into poop flavored strains and, spoiled food strains and things like that, and that want to get together and kind of use those descriptive words that they find so enticing together. We're going to provide a place for that long term.
So can I ask you a question? What are the names? Are you going to name each strain that you're going to do?
Oh yeah.
So can you name them after Garbage Pail Kids? Because that'd be fucking amazing.
Well, see, here's the funny thing that we get into with naming strains. You got to be real funny about other people's IP. You got to be really careful that you're not stepping on a strain somebody else has run. So I kind of thought, I don't know if this was something I'll do, but I thought about doing like fictional poopines
Oh, there
like
you go.
ones that are kind of based on kind of poopy sounding stuff, but that sound scientific enough, like scatol and phytamine and stuff like that. But like I don't know, I always deal with that one.
Every word, every different language for the word poop should be
That would be
the
good.
different
That would be
strain.
good. I always tell people to avoid, though, when naming strains, avoid anything that you wouldn't say to your grandmother or to somebody else's grandmother. So anything genitalia, anything poopy, toilet
Poops
related.
are funny. Poops
They
and
are
farts
funny,
are funny.
but like they
They're
don't
funny.
usually. Somebody's grandmother will be buying that in a dispensary and have to tell somebody, like, let me get that crap house special.
Yeah, but if you put it in different language, like whatever poop is in Italian or whatever poop is in whatever language, you know what I'm saying? It would be funny. And then your final one is just the poop emoji and just says poop. I'm baked. Sorry. StraitA. Go ahead, man. What you working on next? And tag away, brother.
We have just pulled down a huge project. We used a Josh DOG male, hit 80 plus elites, and I'll be shucking them, and we probably let a pre-release out if anybody's interested in grabbing some early. But we're gonna be running them all throughout this year. Have some buddies helping us run a bunch of them, and hoping here in the next 3 to 4 months having an official release. So
nice. And then go ahead and tell them where they can find you.
you can find me on Instagram, StraitA Genetics 2.1, I guess now. Sleptonseedbank.com, sleptonseedbank@gmail.com. If for some reason the website isn't working well, you could always email us. Yeah, other than that.
Sweet. Well, I want to say to the both of you, I'm proud of you both because all the fucking work you've been doing, all the hard ass fucking shit, and I know what it takes. I'm just proud of you both for just fucking making it work and
Thank you, man.
doing it for the passion and doing it for the culture, doing it for the community, and having fun while you're doing it. It's not easy work. Both of you have been on the show a few times, and both of you have said this is work. We work for a living. This ain't just sitting around fucking doing nothing. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes hard work, and it takes a hell of a lot of fucking passion and a little bit of heart. So thanks, man. I'm proud of you both. Early, got anything else to say?
Yeah, I think everybody knows. You can't forget the CalMag, guys.
Everybody, all you gardeners out there, don't forget the CalMag. Peace! Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.